Hey guys, it's Tom. I'm back with another video. It is Monday. I think it's early afternoon or late morning right now in the Philippines. And I was watching a little bit of Sunday Night Football on the Premier Sports channel. 49ers and the Cowboys. Didn't look good for the Cowboys. But anyway, on this video, I think I just wanted to talk about, like I realize sometimes that there's a lot of guys out there that are still in the U.S. and probably other countries as well, other Western countries, but I think mostly the U.S. that they watch a lot of vlogs of Filipino vloggers, mostly American, vloggers that are living here in the Philippines, kind of like myself. Although I have a very small channel, you know. But I mean, there's other guys out there, right, that are here that have been doing this for like 4 or 5 years, and they got a lot of subscribers and they get a lot of views and stuff like that. And I realized that there's people in the U.S. There's guys, mostly guys out there in the U.S. that are watching vlogs in the Philippines and that, and they're watching and everything, and I think they're entertained by the vlogs, and maybe they even are influenced by them, and they really think that, hey, I think I should go to the Philippines. But as a vlogger, I know that there's guys that are never going to come here, even though they watch the vlogs and they almost are living somewhat vicariously, through us, right? Or through other vloggers anyway. Maybe not me, but like through other vloggers, that they see, in the Philippines. And yeah, they're never going to come here, and I think a lot of it is, listen, if you're somebody that maybe never really traveled much at all, even within the United States, right? And there are guys like that, there's people like that who've never even been on an airplane, and you might even be 60 years old or whatever, or over 50, right? And you've maybe hardly even traveled out of your own home state, let alone get on a plane to go to another state. So if you're somebody like that, then you're probably not going to come here. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a huge trip. It's like 16-hour flight. It's huge, and to come here to move to live, man, it's a big step. It's not something to take lightly or whatever. It's not necessarily like an impulse decision. You know what I mean? It's something you really have to believe that you're going to do and that you should do. And trying to think, like, and if you're sort of somebody who's not necessarily just in that category of maybe someone who hasn't traveled much, but if you're kind of like a what ifer, if you're somebody that, I think there's a phrase called, if you're somebody that kind of gets in your own way, right, in life, because you're just overthinking everything. You're what ifing everything, right? If you're somebody like that, again, you may not come here. You're probably going to talk yourself out of coming here. It's highly, it's very likely, right? I don't know. I just think that it's not for everybody, and not just the Philippines either, but just coming to another country to live as an expat, whatever the country, any country, any other country outside the U.S., right? That's not for everybody to do, to be an expat or whatever. So it doesn't shock me, when I hear about guys that were planning on coming here and then they just change their mind, at the last minute or whatever. Yeah, it doesn't shock me. I mean, it's like I said, it's a big step. I mean, I came here 5 times, man, before I came here to live, and I came here mostly for Amy was a big part of it. I mean, but also, yeah, that was the cost of living a part of it. Of course it was, because I'm 63, so I'm like, I'm on Social Security now, and I'm kind of a fixed budget, and I couldn't live like this. I couldn't live. I mean, technically, because of the condo where I was living in didn't have a mortgage, at least in the last year or so that I was living there, it didn't have a mortgage. So, I mean, technically, I could have lived off, but then I wouldn't have the rental income from that condo because I'd be living there. So I would only have my social, So it'd be like, well, geez, yeah, I guess I could live there, but man, it would be very tight, you know? Like, it just wouldn't be, I don't know, wouldn't be much, wouldn't be living much, you know what I mean? And I'd still probably be alone or whatever. So, I mean, so for me, I don't know, like for some guys, and if you're kind of in that category where you're, I don't know, you sort of are limited, you've had limited exposure to other countries, I don't know. If you find a girl, in the Philippines, for example, or I suppose other countries, but I mean, let's just say the Philippines, right? That could be your motivating factor, but just make sure it's the right woman. You know what I mean? Like, don't, because I hear so many stories, so many nightmares from other expats that just got totally shanked, when they came, when they finally came here, and then it was just like, oh my god, and they spent a bunch of money building houses for a woman and all this stuff that they met online, and they never met him in person. I mean, that's a red flag. You really got to meet somebody in person and spend time with them, before you know what I mean, before you come here to live. But for me, like I said, I planned it, and I kind of had extra time to plan it because of the pandemic, because I couldn't come here, when I was as early as I was going to come here. So I wound up, I had like 2 extra years to plan it. So you know what I mean. So it's kind of like timing, right? And I will say, 2020 was a decent year for me too, working, in the U.S. But 2021 was terrible. Like it was kind of funny because 2022 I made almost the same as I did in 2021, even though I did hardly any work at all. You know what I mean? It was just an indicator as how bad 2021 was for me. And I was in real estate. But I'm working with buyers. It's a different ballgame. When you're working with buyers in a seller's market, man, you're going to be spinning your wheels. It's a nightmare. Plus, I was older. I was just like sick of it. It was like 2021 was the year that really kicked me in the ass and said, hey, just yeah, as soon as you can, get out of here. Like it's time to get retire. At least from real estate. But anyway, that was my story. So, and again, I didn't have a ton of stuff. I've got brothers and cousins and stuff like that, but I don't have kids, or I didn't really have anything that was keeping me there. You know what I mean? In the U.S. And there's other guys like that too, right? We're in a similar spot as I was. But like I said, if you're somebody who sort of just is a what ifer, and you're very tightly wrapped, you know what I mean? That phrase, tightly wrapped, like real, I don't know, like detail oriented to the point of handcuffing yourself, or getting in your own way, right? If you're like that, then you may not, you might not wind up coming here, and you may not, maybe you shouldn't come here, like because if you're that tightly wrapped and like a perfectionist, and and things that aren't perfect drive you crazy, right? You're probably not going to make it here, living here, because I mean, you could go out in one day and then you'll have three things that drive you nuts, just in 2 hours. You're going to be like talking to yourself by the end of the day. So, I mean, yeah, it's not really for those that are tightly wrapped. um, but anyway, I just wanted to give my take and sort of touch on this subject a little bit. It's been floating around out there. So. All right, guys, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great day, man. I'll see you later. Have a good one. Hey guys, hey, listen, I wanted to add this to the video that I just did. There's something else that you might want to consider, right? Like, regardless of what type of person you are, like if you're someone who gets in your own way, right? And you're sort of a what ifer, and oh, what if this happens, and you overthink everything and stuff like that. Or if you're just a regular guy, that could probably wind up coming here, and actually pulling the trigger on this, large trip, to the Philippines, right? Either way, there's going to be another obstacle that you're probably going to face, maybe not all of you, right? But a lot of you. And that's going to be that, you're not going to get too much encouragement from your family and friends, okay, to come here, especially, to come here to live. Come here to visit, you probably won't get any flack at all for that. I mean, you shouldn't. But to come here to live, and it's not like you're going to get probably discouragement, not encouragement, and if you're lucky enough not to get sort of a lot of discouragement about coming here, you probably won't get encouragement though either, you know what I mean? um so just keep that in mind, right? Because then that's another, when you're trying to piece all this together and plan everything, and that's going to be coming at you from the side. You're going to be getting like, oh, you only last a year there or whatever. They're going to tell you things like negative things, about living here. You know what I mean? Like they're just gonna, they is like, your friends, and I mean they mean well. They're not evil. They mean well, but they're just trying to look out for you. For the most part, right? There could always be a little bit of jealousy in there. You don't know, right? But I mean, for the most part, I think people are just kind of looking out for you or trying to look out for you, right? But keep in mind that's definitely going to be coming at you, from different directions, possibly, But so that's about it, guys. I just wanted to add that. So, all right, man. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good day.